Two, one. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Trust the Process podcast, brought to you and sponsored by RFG. That is the revolution to free generations. Free your mind and free your finances. On this podcast, we will be discussing self-improvement, discipline, work ethic, and everything in between. This podcast is brought to you by Brian Riddell and Nathan Jack. Brian is a self-made entrepreneur who is involved in and has been involved in painting companies, wholesale and consignment companies, and an eyelash extension studio called Ziplash. I am a self-made and self-taught artist. I've dabbled in many fields myself. I'm kind of a jack-of-all-trades individual. And now, both Brian and myself have joined forces in network marketing through RFG. 10x your life, baby. And we're on a mission to change 100,000 lives. So help
Absolutely.
us out. Help us help you. Without further ado, trust the process. Let's get to it. Morning, bro.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Living the dream as always,
Living the dream. Did you make your bed this morning?
Of course I did.
Of course.
Did you?
First thing you got to do, man. Hop out of the bed, get to it.
Of course.
All right. So let's go over morning routines and the importance of our morning routines and how it sets the tone for the day.
Absolutely.
Right? So what is it that you do, not you personally right now, but this is like a general question to everyone that's listening. What is it that you do first thing in the morning? Do you get out of bed and immediately go to your phone? Or do you stay in bed and sit there on your phone, right? Or do you get out of bed, do you get moving, right? Do you set the tone for your day? Do you work on self-improvement first thing in the morning? Or are you kind of a later individual that likes to do that kind of stuff? Right, so Brian, you want to break down your morning routine a little bit? Let the people know?
Of course. So every morning what I do is, first of all, I wake up, I get out of bed, I make my bed, and then come down here, get some coffee, whatever, tea, right? Just kind of get, the mind flowing a little bit. And then what I do after that is I go into meditation. And it's just like a 12-minute video, but it really, helps you connect with everything around you, and that for me sets the tone of the day, which makes me feel that I can conquer the whole day, and get stuff done that needs to be done, right, and be very productive.
Okay. Do you want to break down this meditation a little bit, maybe for anyone that doesn't necessarily know what meditation is or is looking into new avenues to help them meditate in the mornings to then set their tone?
So this video, it brings you to connect with your surroundings. Like for instance, it will say, smell the air, feel the objects around you, all while your eyes are closed, so you become one with nature or wherever you decide to do this video. For me, it's wherever I am at that point in time. But honestly, it helped me tremendously, and that was all thanks to my sister actually, for helping me find that way of kickstarting my day. You know what I mean? Because everybody goes through things, but that's part of the process, right?
100%.
And that helped me tremendously to overcome adversity, so to speak, and carry on my day.
Big shout out to Robin for bringing you to the meditation world.
Yes, big shout out.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so I'll break down what I do a little bit. So first thing in the morning, I actually don't make my bed right away. I make my bed after I get changed out of my pajamas and into my clothes, right? I'm a system-driven person. I have my systems, right?
Yeah.
So typically what I'll do is I'll get out of bed and I'll get right over to where my kettle is, and I'll turn the kettle on so I can have a nice warm cup. It says coffee on my mug, but it's tea that I drink out of this thing. I gave up coffee. And then after I get the kettle on, typically just quick 10 push-ups, like 20 body weight squats. It's nothing, we're not, getting ourselves on Muscle Magazine in the morning with that. But it's, it just gets the blood flowing, right?
Absolutely.
Almost anyone should be able to, if you can't do 10, should be able to strive to do 10. Even if you have to break it up, you do 2.
Yep.
You can do them on your knees, right? You can do the body weight squats holding onto a chair if your balance is slightly off to begin with.
And that sounds like honestly part of the process. Even if you do it on your knees continuously, one day you'll be able to do it off your knees. You know what I'm saying? So
that's exactly it. Did you ride a bike first day, no training wheels?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You had to have those training wheels on.
Yep.
Right? And then you had to have your mom or your dad running behind you with like their hand on the seat. Oh, don't let go.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
And then they have to like let go and let you do your own thing, and then eventually, once you get comfortable with that, you can take those training wheels off. Look at that, you're riding a bike. Now you're buying a motorcycle. Holy jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're racing, right?
Yeah.
So after I get my cup of tea steeping, I like to sit down, enjoy my tea, and I don't typically read in the morning right now because I'm working on a second language. So I have Duolingo on my phone. I'll sit down and I'll practice. Right now I'm practicing German, right? So then after I do that, get my half hour, maybe 45 minutes out of the way, finish my cup of tea, then I'll go over to my room, get dressed, make my bed, or shower in the morning if I need to do that, if I didn't shower at night. All right, so that's kind of my personal process, right? But so anyone that reads books, let's go over a book. This is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If anyone's ever seen the movie Gladiator, the old Caesar, I guess, or Roman leader who wanted to make Maximus the guy after him, that was Marcus Aurelius, right? So, and this pertains to our morning routines. This pertains to, specifically, getting out of bed. So Here we go. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? The things I was brought in this world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. But it's nicer here. So comfortable. So you were born to feel nice? Instead of doing things and experiencing them? Don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants and spiders and bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can? And you're not willing to do your job as a human being. Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands?
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Every time I hear that, man, it's goosebumps.
It's a powerful one.
It's very powerful.
It's a powerful one.
So, I mean...
And it's funny, so this isn't even set up that I had it. As you can see, my bookmark is there. And when we were talking about making this podcast the other day, like what were our talking points are going to be, I was like, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I opened it up to where my bookmark was. And our first talking point for this episode is, make your bed and morning routine. Set the discipline for the day and set the tone for the day. And then, what do you know, right? It's absolutely meant.
Yeah. It could have been more perfect,
Yeah.
So. It's great.
All right. So, but to go back to that for a second, that end part. why aren't you running to do what your nature demands?
Absolutely.
Who are you as a person? And what does the universe essentially demand of you or has been leading you towards? It's leading you towards being yourself and recognizing the true version of yourself.
And
right?
being a leader rather than a follower.
Yeah. If also that is the true nature of oneself, let's be real, we can't have a room full of leaders necessarily, especially if those leaders aren't willing to then follow in certain circumstances. And we have a saying in the native culture: too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Right? Because you've got too many
Precisely.
people. Yeah, you've got too many people fighting. For the to be able to delegate and say, hey, we should do this and we should do this, and not enough people willing to say, okay, let's do it. Let's get it done. I'm not going to fight you on that. I don't have an opposing opinion necessarily. I think we should just get to work.
Yep.
Right? Too many chiefs sometimes and not enough Indians. Not every single person on this world can be a leader, and that's not to bring anyone down. That's just to speak honestly about a situation. Not everyone let's get to it. Not everyone in this world can be a mom.
Yeah.
Let's piss some people off, right?
Yeah.
Only your mother could be your mother.
For sure.
No one else can take that position away from her. No one else could have been geared towards that role other than your mother. Right?
Absolutely.
That's not how it works.
Absolutely.
All right. So also, let's to build on that just a tiny bit more. Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands? So, my own journey, it turns out, has been the universe trying to teach me how to run towards what my nature demands. So to break it down a little bit, I'm the oldest of 8. I didn't grow up with all 8. I grew up with 4 brothers and 1 sister, but on top of that I have 2 more sisters. But so, in growing up with 500,000 siblings and being the oldest, you have to be a leader. Not even by choice. You've been born into that position. And my siblings and I, thankfully for them, they don't remember it. They were too young. But the oldest 3 of us, we spent time in the foster care system. Right? We've been there twice. The second time when I came out of it was right when I met you. So when I met you at the age of 8 years old, I didn't know at the time, but I was free and clear of the foster care system, and so were my siblings. Right? But in that, sometimes your siblings are scared or they want to see your parents, and you have to be the one that breaks it down for them because you're the one that they trust. They don't trust the foster parents necessarily because it's a foreign thing. So you have to be in that leadership position. And then later in life, when we were free and clear of children's aid and the foster care system, well, then my mother and her husband, they both needed to work several jobs to be able to pull themselves out of debt, be able to provide for this growing family, right? So then who do you think is making lunches, making sure all of the kids get to school, even when I got to high school? So I'm the oldest. There's still a lot of siblings that are in elementary school. I got to make sure they get there and then run off to high school. Thankfully, by then it was mostly figured out. And then some of the other older ones were able to step up into their own version of leadership positions, because I had to also take a step back slightly, do my thing, high school, live my life. Sports became, more prevalent, and time gets consumed. So then one of the next older ones has to step up into that leadership position. They have to then be emotional support, moral support, right? So it's taken a lot of reflecting and a lot of time to look back on it. And for a time, I was not running to do what my nature demanded. So now I'm through RFG, especially. I'm every day working towards being a leader, right?
Absolutely.
We want to help young men be the truest versions of themselves,
Absolutely.
right? Yes.
I mean, and not just young men, but females as well.
Yeah. Not just young men, but seeing as there is a lot right now, a lot of movement towards women empowerment. And of course, we will be doing that as well. But I, at least personally, to start as well, I want to focus on our young men because, at least from what I see, there's a lot of stuff out there trying to bring them down.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
And we can't focus on just lifting women up and then not lifting the men up too. You know what I mean? So there's, especially because like through RFG as well, there's a huge rush of really young men coming in, 17-year-olds, right? And they need guidance in this crazy world. They need to be set on a proper path.
For sure.
And that actually brings us, Brian, to our next point of relationships. If you wanna start that one off for us.
Yeah. So relationships.
Right.
Which I know all too well about, to be honest with you. For the wrong reasons anyway. But
Maybe not though.
yes. Looking back now, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But I had a young lady who I was in a thing with for 7 years. But the first time we met, I was just running with my business, doing wholesale and consignments, and I was pretty well off, to be honest with you. The first year, year and a half, whatever it was, we were going out, spending, hundreds of dollars on food, dinners, whatever we can think of, we were spending money on. But then I quickly realized, I guess I eventually realized, down the road that this young lady was only in it for herself and for her financial gain. Which, I mean, listen, that happens, right? I just didn't catch it, when I was supposed to, right? So.
Or maybe you did. Maybe you did catch it when you were supposed to.
Fair.
And as crappy of a ride that was, maybe it was supposed to be that way to teach you something.
Of course, man. So, I mean, listen, what really broke the camel's back was, in 1 week, I kid you not, in 1 week, the people who know me will tell you, in 1 week, this young lady spent $25,000 of my own money. You know what I'm saying? $25,000 this young lady has spent. So that for me was like, hey, listen, that we could have done something with that. I could have invested that somewhere. We could have, done a lot of things with that money. And
put it back into the business you guys had.
That's it. We could have put it back in a Ziploc. Mm-hmm. But it was just, I maybe it was my fault, for letting her do that. But, that to me was the last straw. And this was a woman who I thought I was going to marry. We were engaged.
You had spent 7 years with her, you said, right?
7 years. So the fact that she would do that to me, blatantly and just with no regard, I had to let her go. And honestly, that was painful. It really was, because, that was somebody I was used to being around for 7 years, every day of my life. Waking up to her every day of my life for the past 7 years. But I had to let her go in order for myself to grow. And that's part of the process, is to let go of people who are not there to lead you in the right path, who aren't there to cheerlead you, who, you know what I'm saying? So I had to let her go. And that was, really it. And I mean, I'm glad I did, because look at where we are now. Look at, so, I mean, it's all part of, I guess, becoming who you are meant to be, and I mean, another thing about, that, not just the romantic side of a relationship, but a friendship. Look at you and I. We didn't talk for 6-7 years. We didn't talk for.
Yeah. I've known you since I was 8, so that's 22 years.
Yeah.
For 6 or 7 of those, yeah, everyone. We
didn't talk for 7.
We did not have a relationship.
No. And, and that was honestly one of the most painful things ever. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I reached out to your other half, to try and, get into your, head, I guess, and, try to bring you back. But, I mean, thankfully that worked, to be honest. And whoever that girl was, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll break that down a little bit. So she's no longer my other half now.
Yes.
We weren't married or anything, but I'll be honest with you, I was thinking about, hey, this young lady might be the one. But I fell in love with this young woman. And then one day out of the blue, we're studying, and she just looks over at me. She's like, "Hey, who's Brian?" So she knew the answer.
Yeah,
it was like one of those, right? And so I said, "Okay, well, Brian and I met him when I was like 8 years old in Woodstock, friends for a long time. But then something had happened, right? And I had said for a time, you know what?" Okay, so for everyone listening, Brian's father at least, did not like me growing up, and honestly, it wasn't even anything I did. It was you had a really bad speech impediment when we were young.
Yeah,
and then there was that one kid, Ethan or something.
I don't remember that, bro.
I can't remember his name, but anyways, something had happened, and Brian was trying to explain to his father, no, it was Ethan that did that. But he would always stutter really bad, and then it kind of sounded like he had said Nathan, and then his dad was just like, "Oh, that's it, we're done with this kid, Nathan." I showed up the next day, and I was trying to explain to him, no, it was that other kid. For years, I'm pretty sure he just went, whatever, I'll put up with you, but we're not. I don't like you. So something else had happened, and it kind of put me in the limelight again. And I had said to Brian, "Man, I communicated with you to make sure that this wouldn't happen, because I've already been in a bad spot with at least one of your parents, and honestly, that may as well make it both of them."
Yeah.
So putting me in this limelight again, when I asked not to be put here. I honestly, everyone, I put my foot down, and I was like, "Listen, man." I was very
young.
I was young. I was very, as you heard earlier, I spent some time in the foster care system, and I had to make a lot of sacrifices to be a leader for my younger siblings. So I didn't know how to handle certain things. I didn't have a lot of emotional maturity. So I blew up, and it was really me that drove this. I spent 6 to 7 years saying, just leave me alone, and I'm good. I don't need any of this. I'm okay. And that really hurt us for a time, because we are brothers, right? I've known this man since I was 8 years old. Now I'm 30. It's 22 years. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. And if we would have spent all of those 22 years together, not just 15, imagine where we'd be right now.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
This podcast would have started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was more than likely meant to work out this way, because that separation, when we did come together, that brought us so much closer together.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that really did bring us, really close, because now, we're business partners. We're more of brothers, rather than best friends. So I mean, everything happens for a reason. And that's just part of the process. Once again, we had to lose, a friendship for those X amount of years to come back stronger and better than ever. So
you can probably hear that. That's my rabbit. Just
Freddie,
give me 1 second. Fred, quit being squirt. You're not eating that. God, it's bad for you. Idiot.
Yeah, we need to. This needs to stay on the podcast for sure.
What's that?
This needs to
That's
stay on
for
sure.
Yeah, no editing, by the way. We don't do any editing here.
This is
what
raw.
you see is what you get, everyone. Yeah, full organic.
Yep.
Yeah, free trade and everything.
Absolutely.
Actually, hold on. You want to say hi to Fred real quick, there, Brian?
Yes, sir.
See if we can see him here. Where is he? Oh, shithead.
Freddie, what's going on, buddy?
There's the man. He's
getting big, man.
He's being mischievous.
Of course.
Dude, last night. Okay, so we're breaking away from the podcast for a second just to discuss some things. Dude, last night. So my one roommate. So Freddie here is a male rabbit. He's not fixed yet, and my roommate has a female rabbit. Who, guess what? Wow, isn't fixed yet. Big surprise. So, everyone's seen Bambi, right? Thumper. Turns out rabbits actually do that.
I didn't know that.
They actually like thump with their back legs. They'll just slam it on the ground, pick them up quick and slam them. So at like 2 a.m, my roommate's rabbit was all just, I guess, pissed off about something and just thumping all over the room that she stays in. It's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm just going, oh my god. I'm not going to, but I want to kick that thing so bad right now.
Yep.
Be up early.
Yep.
Rabbits, man. Yeah, anyways, let's so speaking of relationships, a very important point for everyone to think about. Look at your friend group, okay? Because you are the 5 people.
Correct.
Yeah, you are the 5 people that you hang out with. Freddie, I swear to God, cut it out. if you're gonna hang out with a bunch of bums, guess who's bum number 6? Oh, that's weird. It might be you. Right? I'm trying to. I've got this floor thing in here, so that he's like padded.
Bro.
You know those like Lego floor things that you set together?
Yep.
Right? You interlock them and stuff. Well, this dumbass thinks it's good to eat. So he's over here eating like whatever it's made of, rubbery plastic type material. Fucking guy.
That's crazy.
But anyways. So you're the 5 people you hang out with. And as I just said, if you hang out with a bunch of bums, guess who's bum number 6? You hang out with a bunch of people that don't aspire to anything, guess who else isn't going to aspire to anything? Because we've all been in this situation. Everyone listening, if you say you haven't, I'm sorry, but you're probably lying. And if not, then you're extraordinarily lucky and blessed to have good people around you from the beginning, because that's not always the case. So even if you're not number yet, bum number 6, say you're the aspiring individual in the group, when you share things that you aspire to be or aspire to do with those people, how often does this happen? Oh, man, I want to do this. I've got this great idea. I'm going to get this going in life. Blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing you hear are all these excuses or reasons as to why you shouldn't do that, why that can't happen, etc., etc., right? But if you instead, as Brian said, if you leave those people behind so that you can move forward, right? You're on to bigger and better things. You need to find yourself a new group of people that will lift you up.
And let me go to that real quick. I had a friend. we'll just say his name was David.
Sure.
I had a friend, and growing up, he was always misguided. Whether it was his parents not being around, whatever, but he was always misguided, and his parents always liked me for the sheer fact that I was on the straight and narrow my whole life. You know what I mean? And they looked at me as somebody that can guide David into adulthood and be somebody. Unfortunately, life happened. And we lost connection after grade school. But we reconnected when we were like in our 20s. You know what I mean? We reconnected when we were in our 20s, but by that time, David had already been into the system. And by the system, I mean,
Man's been to jail.
Man's been to jail. Man's been institutionalized,
Yeah.
So he got out the first time, whatever, and came to me. And at this time, I was still doing my thing, right? Trying to make, money off of whatever I could. Not necessarily, illegal stuff, but the right stuff. You know what I mean? I was making business moves.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm like, I tried to help him out. You know what I mean? Hey, man, listen, why don't you, come work for me? Hand out flyers. I'll pay you per flyer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want that. Man, hand out flyers. I'll pay you. I don't care. If you hand out 100 flyers, I'll pay you $1,000 for 100
Damn.
for 100 flyers.
Jeez.
And he would not do that.
Really down to help the man out.
I was. I said, hey, listen, man, listen, like we can get you a car, we can get you a place, we can do whatever you want to do, but you have to take my help.
Yeah.
And it's been like that up until probably like last year, maybe 2 years ago. And I finally had it. I'm like, listen, dude, I've been trying to help you since we were young. The fact that you're in and out of the system isn't helping your case at all. At one point we were very, very, very good friends. Very good friends. But I had to let him go because that was not the path that I was walking on.
I feel that.
I was on my way to greatness. He was on his way to darkness.
The darkness. Yeah, straight up.
You know what I mean? So I had to let him go, and honestly, I don't feel bad, for it at all because I tried to help him.
You shouldn't.
No, you know what I mean.
You put in the effort to see change in his life, but he wasn't willing to put in the effort to see that equal amount of change. Right?
And everybody who knows me will corroborate the story because it's the sheer fact. That's who I am. I aim to please. And I aim to help the ones around me that I love, and I had to let him go. And I mean, as I said, I don't feel bad for it. He's probably still in the system now.
Could be.
But anyway, yeah.
Dang. That man missed out.
Yeah, oh, he did. He did.
I mean, 100 flyers, dude.
100 flyers, $1,000.
That's all it would have taken to change that man's life right there. To just hand out 100 flyers, his life would have been changed forever. Right, and that goes in to our next point. How you carry yourself and the culture that you preach is very important.
Absolutely. Like
Brian and myself. So we grew up in Woodstock. We grew up relatively hoodlummy. We were partial hoodlums when we were kids. But then once it got to that point where it was time to grow up and realize, oh, what's going on here? Brian, where'd you go? Why did you leave me? Well, I guess we will be ending this one here today. I'll make the final point. But so pretty much what I was getting at was Brian wanting to lift that guy out of the slums. It said a lot about the way Brian carries himself in the culture that he preaches. Brian himself is not in and out of the institution kind of guy, right? So why would he spend his time with people that feel that it's okay to live their lives that way? So what he did first was he tried to pull that man out. Listen, man, I'm in a position where I can help you. I just need you to work a little bit to better receive this help. And then once we do that, your life has changed from there on out. But that man, the culture he was preaching, David, we're calling him, they didn't align together, Brian's culture and David's culture, right? So be not weary, I suppose. Think about how you carry yourself. What is the air you even surround yourself with, right? What is the culture that you preach? Do you preach, as I was discussing earlier, how to be a leader? Do you lead by example? Do you do things behind the scenes that if someone found out you were doing, maybe they would judge you for it because it's not right? Should you be doing those things? Right? So before I end this off, oh my goodness, no way.
Hi. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be our, that can't be our time for this thing.
No, but it didn't, so like, what happened? Because but my computer literally shut off.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Great. It just kicked you out of the room for a second, so then I had to take over and pretend like that was supposed to happen.
So, are we still on or what?
Yeah, we are still recording. So I was pretty much closing things up a little bit because we had pretty much gotten to. Wow, I could hear myself through your. That microphone you have is so powerful, man.
Yes.
But we were closing up with how you carry yourself in the culture you preach, and I was saying that you trying to help who we're calling David.
Yeah.
That said a lot about how you carry yourself, right? You're going, hey man, if you put in this little bit of work,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I'll change things for you. And because the way that man carried himself, those two things didn't align, right? And because you weren't going to compromise to accept the negative, the culture you were preaching, well, it didn't line up with his culture. That honestly, there is a culture to it, that in and out culture, right?
Yep.
And that's I feel, isn't that what it's called? In and out? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been
In and out.
with the hood. I've never been in and out. Come on now. But it's been a while since I've been with the hoodlum terminology.
Yeah.
I wear suits now, right? So
Facts.
not with that life anymore.
Jesus, I can't believe bro. This podcast is fantastic.
This is a good one to start with. Freddie just being a complete menace. Deciding, apparently, I didn't give him enough attention this morning.
My computer going all crazy on me.
Apparently, you didn't give your computer enough attention this morning. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. That culture we preach, we got to take better care of our stuff, apparently. God, man.
Hey guys, this is raw, all right? This is what you guys get.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, farm to table with the dirt and all.
I just I just really want to give a big shout out to the RFG family. To be honest, because without them, this podcast would not exist.
Yeah.
To be honest, they do a lot behind the scenes to sponsor us, and we're very grateful. So one big shout out to first of all Matthew Ritchie, right? Tommy Ooze and
Yep.
Matt Fernandez.
Matt Fernandez, the three musketeers of RFG.
Absolutely, those guys are incredible, and they're the right people to have in your corner if you want to, go for greatness.
100%. 100%. And actually, if I could, I'll add to that shout out to RFG. So because of RFG, I now will introduce myself as an artist. I dabbled with the visual arts for a long time, and I am talented. I always knew I had a talent in it. I always tried to play it down a little bit to make others feel better about their art skills, right? Because I never went to school for it. It's just a natural, as you can see some of the stuff on my wall, it's a natural pickup for me, right? There's an eye looking at all of us. And so now, because of RFG, I have an Etsy shop for my art, and I'll be setting up a Spotify once I clear up a little bit of time with other things. So now I'm selling my artwork through e-commerce, right? Now I'm releasing an NFT project. Shout out to the D-Gen Motor Club. That's going
Let's
to be...
go, baby.
That's my
Let's
NFT
go.
project.
Yep.
Also, because of that, because of being in the Web3 space, for anyone that doesn't really know what that means, it's like Discord, Twitter, typically talking about cryptos and NFTs, the decentralized side of financial life. So for anyone that doesn't know what that means, it's banking is a centralized system, right? So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, those aren't centralized by banks. So it's a decentralized system, right? So you can make a lot of gains through that, and that's essentially what we call Web3, is that whole decentralized system. So because of that, being involved in that, and then telling people, hey, I'm releasing my own NFT project. Hey, look at little sneak peeks of the art. 'Cause don't be a fool and release your entire image. Someone can just take it and steal it from you, even if you have the file date on it. Oh, I made this at this time, and I can prove whatever. And then in saying that, I got hired by another NFT project, and this is all because of RFG and what RFG has allowed me to do by fixing my mindset, helping me shift my paradigm. Right? I used to just be a product of the environment I was working in. So I used to work as a chef, right? So I would always introduce myself to people, well, I'm a chef by trade, right? But is that who I am as a person? Because the calling myself an artist, that's like an umbrella term, right? Because a chef can be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Musicians are artists. Right, painters, dancers, they're artists, right? But we can be capable of being all of these things. You don't have to just be one rudimentary thing, and your job or career doesn't necessarily have to define you as a person. So huge shout out to RFG, because thanks to their work in mindset mastery, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Absolutely.
Right? So one thing I had said to someone a couple days ago, and we were talking about RFG and what it has given me, the kind of like insights and perceptions. So in growing up, as I had discussed earlier, I grew up in the foster care system. So, do you think I knew what success looked like? No. Success, actually, real success, kind of scared me, because it seemed like it was just so far out of reach. Hey there, heavy breather. Everyone can hear you.
Me?
Breathing heavily. Yeah, you. Breathing heavily into the mic there.
Okay.
Christ, where was I going? Now I forget. I was correcting you and you're awake snoring. Anyways, RFG, we love you. We love what you've given us. Right, the mindset, the focus. Right, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful thing. So, is that it for today, Brian?
That is it, everybody. Obviously, thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, drop it in the comments. Whatever you guys want to know, whether you guys have questions about RFG and what we really do, or if you have questions for Nathan or I about self-improvement or whatever topics we talked about today, just give us a comment and we'll get back to you guys.
You can also find me on Instagram at NathanJack _ Westerjack, WESTERJACK. That's my artist handle. So that's my Instagram. Of course, my Facebook is just simply Nathan Jack. You'll see me in a nice suit with a microphone in front of me. My hair's a bit longer. Brian, what's your Instagram tag?
Mine is EasyBreezy416. That.
Damn it, Brian!
What? What?
You cut out again for a second.
Oh, what's happening here?
Your computer stopped recording, but that's okay. We're finishing it up anyways.
What the hell?
All right. This
Why?
is a great... I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter. This is a great first episode, everyone, because we're getting all of our technical difficulties out of the way, and this is helping us get everything sorted. So, let's call it before your computer decides to do more weird shit.
Facts. All right, let's
Everyone,
do it.
we want to thank you for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
See ya.
Take care, everyone.